All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Finance Junkies. We are here today. VITALY, how much AMC did you buy last night?
Oh, shit. I went balls deep. I went ape.
I know you had to go ape. There's no way you didn't go ape.
I sold all the end phase and went straight into AMC.
Dude, I mean, you would have been up today.
It would have been doubled. Yeah.
More than doubled. All right. So,
guy.
You know, that's the way I like to invest.
Blood.
Just chase the next thing. That's what I like to do.
One
but Portnoy did, right? He chased. He bought GMC at 34.
He bought them both, $500,000 each.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he bought Gamestop actually at $30, so $30.40, and then he bought AMC at $5.20. So he's officially in, and he's having the time of his life. He's enjoying this thing.
Is this going to be like a yearly thing, like the yearly GME short squeeze? Like freaking Roaring Kitty just comes out of the woodworks, triggers a freaking squeeze.
Ty Gordon, I've been saying Tesla's in trouble for like a year now. Just FYI. Okay. So I don't know what you're talking about. Why did you sold at 250, buddy?
I don't think so. But
let's start with AMC and GameStop, then we'll get into everything else. We got KRIS. He is here today as well. KRIS, you look extra Indian without the hat, dude.
Yeah.
You look Indian today.
I'm gonna put it on.
No, it's fine. It's good, dude. You got to embrace it. It's Indian.
Do the samurai ponytail.
Hold on.
You got to grow it on up
Just
for that. Can you make a samurai?
Look, we made him self-conscious.
Oh,
I made him. That was my fault.
yeah.
All right. So while he's getting in, GameStop up 21% after hours after being up 74% this morning. Portnoy's in at $30. A lot of people on my live stream on the market open. Not a lot of people, actually. I would say like 10% of people threw in a little bit of money. A lot of people on Twitter definitely threw in money. Roaring Kitty tweeted last night. Start off with you, Vitaly. What are your raw thoughts on this pretty much happening out of nowhere? I don't think anyone's expected it, but now we're back and we're living in 2021.
Yeah, shocking. But I mean, if you want to bring up the whole chart, can you zoom out a bit over the last couple of years? What happened?
Yeah.
So it's down massively. I mean, at some point the stock is going to pump no matter what. So this could be that moment. The other thing, I think GameStop is not going bankrupt anytime soon. So it's not exactly in financial distress. From what I heard, it has 1.2 billion on the books or something like that. So
yeah, and I think they're profitable as well. If I'm not wrong about that.
I think it's hit or miss, but my point is this is not the worst company in the world now. And at some point we are down 90% or whatnot. Things are going to pump, even if they're shit.
Okay. Carlos, what was your thoughts to Roaring Kitty tweeting last night?
I think it's just bullshit. This stock shouldn't be up there. This come on. Who's going to game stores?
I still go to GameStop, man.
I think it's a dying business model. I think this is like Sam Ash doing the same thing. You're trying to I just think it's bullshit. I think this is part of like the gamification of the stock market now. The last time this happened, people were getting $1,200 checks. Okay. Now there's people using their real fucking money. I think this is nonsense, but you can make money. I made a little bit of money on AMC. If you just absolutely do not hesitate and you throw a couple of bucks in, you'll probably make some money. But I think by the time we're talking about this, the day after, I think it's over. But I wouldn't mess around with this. I don't think this is actually good for markets. I just don't think this is good. But we will get to see if Robinhood has any liquidity problems real quick.
Oh, we'll talk about the
find
Robinhood
out.
angle.
You gotta talk to your boy. Be like, dude,
I'm on pins and needles. Like, as long as they don't fuck this up, they're gonna be okay.
No, don't fuck this up.
The second they fuck this up, my mentions are gonna explode. But
dude, if they halted trading, what would you do? What would your stock? What would your spreads do if they halted trading?
It depends on the stock. I mean, if they halt the trading and the stock still goes up, I'm still gonna make
they halted
money.
trading. They halted buys. They didn't halt sells last time.
Yes, that was great. Look, the thing is, I think they have so much more infrastructure, they're going to be fine this time. But if they do it, I think because they're so much mature, it would really have to be an industry problem. Like a lot of brokerages would have to have issues. And today, E-Trade
11 billion in deposits, bro. Like, yo,
that was good. But E-Trade today was fucking up this morning, right? So it wasn't Robinhood. KRIS, what was your thoughts to this movement today? And we'll get into some other stuff.
I mean, I think we need to get used to this as a thing that can happen at any time. the memories of this will last into an entire generation of people willing to kind of speculate and overpay on things. So, this is definitely one of those things that should make every short seller a little bit nervous at any point, because, and this is one of the unfortunate realities, is not all short sellers are bad. I mean, a lot of short sellers are actually really smart. They make a lot of great points that need to happen. They uncover a lot of truths that can save people, but they get a bad name. And the problem is, a lot of people now are looking for names that are shorted as a way of, saying, what's the word? Like saying F you to the man, as if like there's a subset of people out there that are just looking to profit off the backs. I mean, there are, don't get me wrong, but most of them are like investment bankers that just want to take the naivety of the normal person and basically make money that way. But it depends on what kind of short seller you are too. Because I mean, you've also seen a lot of bears, like the Bear Cave guy, Edwin, whatever. Like, I feel like there is no consequence to their bearish take sometimes, and that's really bad, because then you could just kind of make up stuff about companies, and if you don't have any ramifications for it, then there's a problem with at least the regular short sellers. You do have some ramifications in that you lose money, So
Yeah, the short sellers didn't learn their lesson for these kinds of stocks. I mean, it's really silly to short, no matter if it seems obvious that it should go bankrupt. You're just asking for trouble, especially if such a popular name.
Can you guys just a random question, unrelated? Just how do you guys like Webull versus TradingView for charts?
I love Webull for charts.
I like TradingView. Yeah,
I like Webull.
But I see that you're using Webull all the time. I like TradingView, but Webull looks pretty good.
I don't know why I've always used Webull. It's just easy to use, and I think honestly I use it because I saw Meet Kevin streaming on it a couple of years ago, and then so I tried it out, and I was like, "Oh,
does it have the technicals though?"
Oh, it's great. Now I don't understand the technicals that well, so I don't usually show them. But once I learn how to show the Bollinger Bands and all that stuff, it's good though. It's not bad.
All right.
I would like to contact Kitty. Do we have his email? We need to get Enovix up there.
Kitty. Okay, so so I have a couple questions. First of all, I have a couple questions about this whole thing, but let's get this out of the way.
Oh wait, I don't have a hat on. Wait.
And before you continue, Roaring Kitty would never take a position in Enovix. That's just not his style.
That was a joke.
Okay. No, I'm just saying that's not his style. I mean, the reason why I bring that up,
he doesn't like to make money. We don't know that.
In the traditional sense of investing, Roaring Kitty is a value investor. So one of the things that he looks for is deep value. So that's one of the reasons.
No, it's deep fucking value is what he looks for.
Whatever. But the point is, he looks for companies that are completely mispriced from their true potential, from their cash position. Enovix is more like, hey, we have this technology that's going to be a major breakthrough in the future. So there's just the value of it is what you believe in the future they'll be able to ascertain. Whereas Roaring Kitty looks at the current situation and says, hey, I think that the market is underpricing this company because of X. That's why.
Okay, so I have a bunch of questions, but the first one I want to get out of the way. Is anyone buying Robinhood with me? Because this seems very obvious that no matter what Roaring Kitty says, AMC, GameStop, Enovix, whatever it is, all these people are going to buy it on Robinhood. In 2021, Robinhood added 4 million accounts in 1 quarter. It was pretty much because of this Roaring Kitty dude. Obviously, the business is growing fantastic after earnings last week. And now they have this external marketing catalyst for $0. They moved up on the app charts by like 7 spots in the past 12 hours. Do we think Robinhood is the casino that wins this game, no matter if it's AMC or GameStop? Anybody?
Yeah, I think so. Robinhood is
define winning the game.
Winning the game is I already was bullish on these guys, but let's say GameStop actually does a 2021 move, or even kind of a 2021 move. Up 100% is actually nothing. In 2021, it went up 100x. Let's say it goes up 10x. All of that traffic is going to Robinhood. Those people are not buying it on Schwab or Fidelity. So is that the actual answer to play this without having to bet on GameStop, which might not, go to the moon, but at least you get a good company that encompasses that traffic?
So basically you're saying play on the naivety of retail investors, saying yes. Retail investors, when they go ape, Robinhood makes money, and that's what you want to be in.
Well, I mean, he also meant just in general, even if they're not going to go ape, just the new levels of the new investor generation coming in now, what platform are they using? I think is the question.
Yeah, I don't love that they.
Clearly it's SoFi.
Yeah, clearly SoFi. I don't love that Robinhood gets associated with this thing, but in my head, I'm like, all right, some of these people will make money and then they'll try out other Robinhood products. Some of these people will lose money, but they'll at least be introduced to investing, and it'll be through Robinhood. As long as Robinhood doesn't cancel the buy button, it won't leave a negative sentiment with them, which means that they're going to win no matter what, as long as they don't cancel the buy button. And I think this is going to be huge marketing for them that they have to pay $0 for to achieve.
Well, I was partially kidding. They're not going to have the liquidity problem that they did last time.
Yeah.
I think they couldn't get 4 billion together, which is why they shut everything down. They just deposited 11, right? So
yeah.
What do you guys think? Hot take: should they buy StockTwits?
No, stock
210 million. It's $210 million.
No, StockTwits is stupid, dude.
I think that'd be good.
Dumb. The platform is filled with a lot of degens and incels that are saying the most nastiest shit on the planet. Like, it's just such a toxic platform. It's like Reddit, but
all right. Would you be surprised if what's his name, Roy and Kitty, was behind the scenes working with Robinhood? Could you not see collaboration with accounts like that?
No, Robinhood just got sued by the SEC, dude. I think they are so scared to touch anything like that. Like this Roy and Kitty. So here's my next question.
The StockTwits thing.
Here's my next question. Do you think Roy and Kitty could actually make an announcement of a stock and not be investigated by the SEC? Because now the guy has a ton of followers, right?
I mean,
but he doesn't even say anything. Like today, he just posted a bunch of cartoons.
No, I know. My point is, do you think he could come out tomorrow and say, guys, I'm buying AMC? Do you think he can say that without the SEC knocking on his door? That's my question.
Yeah, he's still a free human. He could do whatever he wants. You know, that's not an issue. What's the issue with him saying I'm buying? Like, what's the issue with you saying I bought shares of Palantir? Should you be arrested for that?
I get it, but he's already been on Congress. He did.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have all these Wall Street CEOs and hedge fund managers. They come on CNBC and say what?
Yeah,
what did they say?
We're accumulating.
Right? So why would you? Yeah, why would you, on one hand, prosecute a guy like that and not prosecute Bill Ackman for coming on saying the market is falling down while at the same time buying shares? Go ahead, tell me.
No, there's no good reason. I'm not saying there's a reason.
Exactly.
Saying,
so there's nothing.
If I was him, I would still be kind of scared of doing it regardless. You know, Bill Ackman has billions of dollars of legal power to be able to protect himself.
He's got nothing to worry about in terms of like legal battles. Yes, does he have to deal with the fallout of, you know, dealing with Congress and all the other bullshit? But I think he did it, and he did it very well the last time around. So it's nothing that he has to worry about. Now, it's one thing if he's trying to do something else, in which case he's trying to pump a stock, you know. But if he just says, like you say it all the time in your morning stream, I think Palantir is an undervalued company. You think that you should be arrested for that? No.
No, and I don't think he should, but I think there's a light on him that's a little bit more bright because of what's happened.
But that is a punishable offense.
That is not a punishment. Yeah, correct. That is not.
It doesn't matter if the SEC wants to come after you to teach you a lesson. I think they could come after him. By the way,
that's my point.
To teach retail investors a lesson.
What would they? No.
With? They would listen. They would lose, but they would create a lot of havoc, and they would make the next person think again.
Right, but question is, what would they charge him with?
Manipulation.
Yeah, whatever. Insider trading. Who knows?
He's not an insider. He's not an insider. He's not an insider at GameStop. He doesn't work for them. He doesn't work.
Okay, so this is the next question. Well, first of all, let me get an answer to the first question. Are any of you buying Robinhood as a play on this meme stock mania, or no?
No. I wanted to respond to that earlier because
okay, go ahead.
It's once again, you have a proxy for the thing. The thing is GameStop. That's what we should be buying if we want to be degens. Robinhood is a bad proxy for it because any value they'll accrue will quickly leave it based on this trade, right? Because this money won't stick around. We know that it's temporary. So Wall Street can't price in this quarter of just 1 quarter of like these degens and apes going into GameStop. I'd rather just go into GameStop and do that trade. Like that makes a lot more sense because the upside is way bigger. Obviously the risk is high, but way bigger. It's not the same thing. So these proxies don't always work one-to-one like you're trying to point out.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's fair. I don't think it's one-to-one. I'm just thinking of the user growth argument. But
yeah, but how long? No, I don't think so. I think they're already there. The degen's already in the house.
Well, we're gonna see if there's more degens on this planet. I mean, that's
Yeah.
it's
I
gonna get
can tell you,
exciting.
I can tell you one thing. Working at a gas station, there is never a shortage for degens.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
You will see these people. They get $400 paychecks. The first thing they're doing is dropping 200 on lottery tickets. You know,
Scratch offs outside of the 7-Eleven.
scratch offs. Yeah.
I see 'em
So
out
it's just one of those things that human condition for trying to get out of a bad situation is so strong, and they feel like the only way to get out of it is by winning it big. And that's technically not how you should invest, but that's what people do. They consider it as an investment in their future to gamble. And so what is that?
We're at number 15. Dude,
Moving up.
It's going to move this motherfucker up, maybe to top 10 if GameStop keeps pumping.
Yeah. See, the problem here, Amit, with Robinhood, and I'm not saying long term they're not going to do fine, but this is one of those things that you have to be very careful and just trade the stock a little bit. Is that a lot of this stuff is cyclical. You know, once this
I
dies down,
agree, but I'm saying
yeah.
even as a trade, I'm saying like
Right.
there's a play here, dude. Like the
Maybe.
business is performing phenomenally, and now they get this huge fucking catalyst, a Roaring Kitty that comes out of nowhere. Like,
Yeah.
to me, I'm just like, goodness.
No, it makes. Hey, listen, what your theory on? Hey, they're gonna have a couple of strong quarters because of all this degenning into GameStop. I think that's true. There's definitely moments like that. It's the same thing with your idea on crypto. You know, when you said, "Oh, look, all the crypto volume is going through the roof, and these guys are making a cut on all these people buying and selling crypto," that means that their revenue is going to explode on crypto. So that was an absolutely right theory, and I agree with you that there are going to be times where you're going to see businesses like Robinhood, like these other guys, make a crap ton of money that way. So ultimately, I think the goal for Robinhood should be to figure out how to streamline their revenue to be up and to the right all the time without the cyclicality.
Yeah.
And that's what would make it a very compelling company for me to buy. But they're not there yet, you know. But I do think long term they're going to be a great company to be in. You know, you look at IBKR. Do you guys know about IBKR?
Dude, I was looking through their financials. They printed $1 billion in net income last quarter. I was like, oh
yeah,
my
IBKR is it's like a brokerage. It's smaller than Schwab, but IBKR, if you look at it over the last, you know, what is this, 20 some odd years since like the great financial crisis, went from 14 to this, almost a 10x. And I don't think this is going to stop anytime soon. They make money on transactions. They make money on completing things. One of my friends used to work at these guys. I should have bought some stock at the time, but they had, look, you see this, they had moments where they made a crap ton of money, and then they had moments where they were kind of down. So you kind of have to live through these periods of sometimes flatness and then rises and then flatness. So it's going to be a very similar thing with Robinhood, in my opinion, where you're going to see like these giant rises and spikes, and then you might have a few years of underperformance, and you'll get cut in half, and then you'll have another rise again, and then it's just back and forth, you know.
So let me ask you this question. Do you guys think it's not GameStop or AMC and it's a different stock Roaring Kitty's thinking of?
I don't know.
What that he tweeted about?
That like he's been pumping or not pumping, but he's been tweeting movie clips. Do you think it has to be? Everyone thinks it's GameStop. What if it's not GameStop? What if it's
the movie clips, AMC? That would kind of make sense.
That'd be a massive rug pull by that asshole.
I think that would be a rug pull, right? Because GameStop's up 100% right now, not AMC. I mean, AMC's up as well, but or what if it's a different stock? What if it's what if it's Peloton or a stock with a different short float, a different thesis?
Well, no, it's Paramount, obviously.
Oh yeah, of course it's Paramount.
If it is, I actually think that would kill the whole thing, right? I think that would kill the whole thing. What is this? Like every year we just pick a stock and all of us throw our money in there? Like, what the fuck are we doing right now? Like,
I wish it was SoFi, dude.
Buying $50 calls tomorrow is not such a bad idea. I'm thinking about it. That's all I know.
Yeah, it calls this today. We're up 1,300%.
Listen, if Portnoy's in, I'm in. That's it.
You guys want to see Portnoy? Here's him explaining why he bought.
All right, DDTG alert, breaking news. I can't fucking miss a fucking 50-year storm. You want to fucking party? Let's fucking party. $500,000 got in at 520 on AMC, 30-40 on GameStop. Roaring Kitty, you want to know who's on this ship? I'm on this fucking ship. Let's fucking go. I'm in. I'll see you tomorrow, DDTG. 9:25 sharp. Let's fucking squeeze this shit to the moon. And if that Vlad Kenov fuckface tries to interfere, I'm coming for his fucking throat latch.
Throat latch, throat latch. Like,
Dude, it is fun. It's
more
the
than just
thrill
for
of
that.
the- all this excitement is fun, but okay. So here's the final question. Then we'll move on from this. Is anyone actually participating by buying calls or stock in any of these companies besides Robinhood? Like, is anyone
Didn't I
actually
just
buying?
say? Didn't I just?
You're buying? You're buying, Vitaly? You're getting it?
Why not? I'll throw $1,000 in.
Okay, Carlos.
Might pick up.
Yeah, there you go. In the beginning, who the fuck is doing this shit? We are doing this shit.
I'm not degen AMC.
We degen into Enovix. We're gonna degen into this.
What I actually think is when you look back at it, like the company has now the correct range and offering of products, and I think they're positioning themselves to be a major brokerage in the next couple of years. What $14 billion right now?
No, forget Robinhood. Forget Robinhood.
No,
AMC and GameStop.
That's my takeaway from this. Like, whatever
Okay.
happens with the GameStop thing, people are going to get wrecked and people are going to make money. That's fine. But it's the point is that they are maturing before our eyes. I mean, we remember when this thing came out, and it's still trading like way below its IPO. And for me, I would have wanted to accumulate more in the $6 to $11 range. But at $17, maybe it can still pull back a little more. Maybe we do get a bad quarter. But this is one that I do think is slowly becoming more of an interesting, longer play for me, because I just only see them growing, right? As people continue to do direct deposit and continue to invest dividends, crypto. I just feel like they've got that like one-stop shop financial app thing going. And so I'm seriously looking more into this. Like, I think I have to take it more seriously.
The one-stop financial app is now Robinhood.
It's not
the other one.
Huh? It's the other one.
Not the one. All right, Chris, are you buying?
I'd love them to buy stock twits. That would be fucking awesome.
No,
You're not
I'm
partaking
good.
at all?
I'm taking a step back. I have some other plays that I'm making that are adjacent to it, not necessarily like directly to it, because whenever these things happen, everyone looks at the main guys as like, these are the ones that are going to really benefit. But then there's also side hustles that are there that you can do well in also. And fundamentally, those are strong companies. So, the ones, if I had to make a bet, I'd make a bet with those. So yeah, I'm not going to be in AMC or GameStop, because I think fundamentally both businesses are in a terrible situation.
Yeah.
That
No one's arguing that.
Yeah. Go to the movies, and I'm sorry, but people are not going to the store to buy games.
The question is, what is management going to do about this? Because I think management could theoretically issue shares and basically take advantage of the current situation, and then use that money to basically do other things with, that could pivot the business away. I mean, if I was the CEO of, let's say, GameStop, I'd probably issue shares and use that money to buy up some other assets. And this way I could use that time that I have all these extra cash flow coming in to rearrange my business in a way that, can help me survive, keep my existing business alive, and then in the future pivot away from something. So as an example, when it came to Audia, remember when we had that conversation, I was like, look, you've got the cash, you put it into something else that generates cash flow. You can use that cash flow to then survive, so that this way you can make your idea work long term. Yeah. So AMC, GameStop, all these things. GameStop at one point wanted to pivot into more esports and do like physical, like, gamer kind of communities, which I think is a viable thing that could happen in the future. But the thing is, if you don't have the cash flow, you're not going to be able to do it. So the question is, what is the bridge you're going to use to get from point A to point B? If you do really have a vision to transform the business into something else, like to pivot away. And there's tons of companies that have pivoted from their original core mission to a new mission, and they've done success, like very well in their new mission. So both they should figure that out. Maybe AMC can consolidate some more movie theaters and, flip away from just having movies, instead have like Taylor Swift. Like, remember when they did like the Taylor Swift tour around the country? They also had like a live concert where you could actually go to a theater and watch Taylor Swift live, but from your local theater. So there are avenues for someone who's actually creative to figure out ways to to use your existing assets and make them better. But a lot of times those require a ton of capital in order to pivot away. So right now it's giving these two companies some lifeblood in order to do that. So it just depends on the CEO at this point to say, you know, what's going to actually happen.
It sounds a lot like Blockbuster in 2010 when it was clear that Netflix was taking them over. And there was almost nothing. What could they have possibly said on any freaking earnings call? How could they have possibly restructured their company that late into the game? That's like, you know, the anaconda's got everything but the head and the mouth, and you're talking about I'm going to get out of this. Like, you're done.
I mean, if you ask me, Chris, what would you have done as the CEO of Blockbuster at the time? I thought it would to me it was a very simple solution. Sell the existing businesses and all the leases and just buy shares of Netflix, turn Blockbuster into a holding company with 20% stake in Netflix, and then figure out a way to monetize the Blockbuster name somewhere.
Well,
turn it
let's
into a
take it back.
studio
They could have bought Netflix 100%, owned it completely.
Right, but no, I'm
They
saying
chose
after
not
the
to.
fact. What I'm saying is after the fact. Like right now, if you were Blockbuster, you were about to go out of business. Your business model is failing and it's dying. You've got customers that are dropping off. You are clearly out of your scope and out of your depth in terms of like the business model that you have. What is the next best move? The next best move, and the thing is, a lot of CEOs will not do this because it just does not make sense for them, is to take existing resources, shift them over into your competitor, and then become your competitor. That's what I would have done as the CEO. You know.
Okay, let's talk about this. We got new OpenAI update. So here's a video OpenAI put out on new model they released with GPT-4.
The moment.
Yes, it looks like the king is in residence right now. The royal standard flag is flying above Buckingham Palace, which is the signal that the monarch is present. How exciting to be there while the king is home.
Try and tell me exactly what they're doing right now, please.
Right now the ducks are gently gliding across the water. They're moving in a fairly relaxed manner, not in a hurry. Occasionally, one of them will dip its head under the water, probably looking for food, and then pop back up.
I even know when a taxi is coming with its orange light on. I think I'll hail it to get home.
Yes, I spotted one just now. It's heading your way on the left side of the road. Get ready to wave it down.
So anyone who doesn't notice, he's possibly blind. That's what
Great
the whole
job
point of this
hailing
is.
that taxi. It looks
Yeah.
like you're all set to go. That's a good dog right there, leading the way into the taxi. Safe travels.
Spectacular.
So,
Is the
it's new multimodal AI models. First, what's your reaction to that? Second of all, it looks like Apple's definitely finalizing a deal with GPT to power iOS 18, and they'll announce more at WWDC. Do you think it's a good idea? We'll start with Vitaly, then Carlos.
The Apple thing. Well, first of all, there's other demos that were completely impressive. I don't know if you want to show some of them, but you know, I wasn't a believer that AI would take our jobs a year ago. I think it's getting real dangerous out there. That this is moving pretty quickly. Where I can see a lot of work, especially like call centers. Like these assistants are becoming even just to take over a job, like helping you get to the next person, right? So the operators who pick up, all those people in India, by the way, who have jobs right now just to get me to the right technical person. I mean, I don't see any need for those people at this point. So
All those people have to do is just come to the country and we'll take care of them for free.
take care with UBI. So I see a lot of, you know, it's spectacular at just watching a lot of these demos, and it's also just terrifying, knowing what's coming for us, like a freight train, that a lot of us will be disrupted. And there was the podcast with, you know, the All In podcast with Sam Altman, and he was like a fucking robot, but he did talk about something interesting in terms of UBI. He's been thinking about it since 2016 because he sort of knew that we're going to fuck everything up. So it's going to be important for us to discuss these things as this decade progresses. Absolutely.
I actually got a video about that. It was when he was talking about how he believes that compute will be the currency of the future.
Yeah.
So I got a little clip of that. That's something I actually want to talk to you about. Like that would be my thing I wanted to bring today, was like watch that clip and talk about it. But I know Chris jokes around all the time about being afraid of Optimus Bot. I'm fucking terrified of this shit. This shit where you got a camera that's scanning everything and can see and recall and call back. I think this is like literally a Pandora's box. It's absolutely fantastic that a blind guy can see, you know, and deaf people will have ways. It's great that it brings that capability back, but I'm telling you, you cannot put this away once it's out. And if this deal is true, it's about to be on 2.2 billion fucking iPhones. Like,
Well, so let's talk about it from that perspective. Chris, do you think this is good for Apple with iOS 18 and GPT?
I think so. Yeah. I thought this watching this, I realized a couple of things. Number one, you're going to need powerful hardware on the phone in order to make this work without the latency. See, the thing is, there's this video demonstration does not show any latency. But imagine right now you're trying to basically ask it to do the same thing you're asking right now, but it has to communicate with a data center in the middle of nowhere, right? So now you need a strong 5G internet connection in order to make this thing work. The question is, what is the way that you can kind of eliminate that? Well, one of the ways that you could do it is by having the AI on your phone and the hardware on your phone. So, there's something to be said about Apple benefiting significantly from technology like this. But the question is, what are going to be the use cases that developers find in order to make this a really cool feature that everyone needs to have? I don't necessarily see it other than commercial applications right now, right? Well, there's one thing that I could think of just, while we're talking, freaking directions. Like when I'm like trying to get directions in New York City, there are some times where it's telling me to go this way in an arrow, and then you walk and then it just like turns around and it's like, no, you were walking the wrong way. And it's like, so which fucking direction am I supposed to be walking in? And it's literally, you can't tell.
That's usually a gyroscope problem, and you take the phone and spin it into a figure 8 pattern to reconfigure the gyroscope, and then it'll spin around and locate you again.
Whatever it is, I just want to basically know which way to go. So if it's using AI to tell me, like, let's say I put my phone up and use AI and it says, yes, go in that direction because that's what the buildings and that's what the location, I'll take that, So I know I've seen that feature on the phone once in a while. So we'll see.
Well, you mentioned only commercial work, but they did have a demo with Sal Khan. I'll just play a little bit of it, but this is, you guys there?
There's a guy who named his
we're teaching. Yeah.
He named his
We're
kid
teaching.
right?
Yeah,
but that's a commercial application.
Enron, right? Come on.
I mean, even at home, honestly, working with my kid, you can call it a commercial application. But at least listen to this. This is amazing.
Invited myself and my son Imran here to try out some of their new technology. And so we're curious about how good it might be at tutoring someone in math on Khan Academy. So let's get it started. It's loading up. All right, make sure it can see our screen.
Actually, in this format,
hello there. I'm here with my son, and I'd love you to tutor him on this math problem, but don't give him the answer. You can ask questions and nudge him in the right direction, but I really want to make sure he understands it himself. And he's here in the room, so you can talk to him directly.
Of course, I'd be happy to help. Let's look at the problem together. Can you first identify which sides of the triangle are the opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse relative to angle alpha?
All right, so I'm pretty sure this is the angle alpha right here, right?
Perfect. That's correct. Now, looking at the triangle, which side do you think is the hypotenuse?
Really,
Remember the hypotenuse?
I'm not totally sure. I think it might be this one, but I really am not sure. This side AC.
You're close. Actually, side AC is called the adjacent side to the angle alpha. The hypotenuse is the longest side of a right triangle and is directly opposite the right angle. Can you find?
So I'll pause it here, but
that's pretty incredible, right?
That is an incredible tool that even I could use with my kid. Like, just having another voice there, like a teacher, to help explain these complicated concepts. I mean, I honestly have no words, because when I saw that, I was like, this is absolutely so useful.
Yeah, I think it definitely revolutionizes education. And other parts of AI can be integrated into it also, where you actually have more interactive kind of experience, right? The thing is, like, some people, they like, I don't know about you guys, but me, I don't like just looking at a book and reading. I don't get to learn anything that way. If I have some interactive parts of the lesson, it becomes a lot more memorable and becomes a lot more like fun to do, and it keeps my attention, and I actually get to learn what it is. So I think building AI, it's not just interacting with models and stuff, but also going to be around creating different environments in that where you can actually learn. So here's an example. If you read about the Roman Empire, right? There's one thing to be reading about it in a book. There's another where you can actually go into, like, let's say a YouTube video and watch the entire history of the Roman Empire and actually see like actors and stuff that are actually portraying the major events that happened. And so for me, I learn with the latter. And so I think it's the same thing. So now the thing is, how do you use that for other things like science and math and English, you know? So this is the way, AI.
Well, the reason this is important is because if there's a complicated subject like triangles, or you're learning about geometry, if you're a kid alone with a book, I think it's very hard for you to start that process. And if you have someone there besides your parents assisting you, just letting you move forward step by step, I think all of a sudden someone who wouldn't understand it at all can actually get very high level of understanding pretty fast, in fact, and making mistakes as the AI corrects it, you know?
Well, I had this idea a long time ago that that I'm not sure how it would pan out, but basically my biggest complaint when it came to modern education and learning has always been around there's different grade levels for everyone. You know, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, blah, 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 blah. Problem is, let's say you're in the 5th grade, but you did not really get a good comprehension of what was supposed to be learned in the 4th grade. So what keeps happening is now you keep pushing that kid forward, but they don't have the basic comprehension from the previous year. And so what's happening is their education is kind of falling apart.
So by the time compound, it's a reverse.
Right. So by the time they get into 9th grade, they're still figuring out concepts that were supposed to be learned in the 6th grade. And so I think that a lot of kids fall back that way. But the thing is, because your age is getting older and older, there's a stigma against repeating, you know, certain lessons. Now, the thing is, AI products like this could end up helping a lot of these people catch up technically, and hopefully at a faster pace, because now they can actually do things like private tutoring. Like in India, that's a big industry. In China, I know it was a big industry at some point, but basically if you have a private tutor, they can coach you up and get you back on track to a certain level. And sometimes if they're really good, they can actually help you exceed your current grade level. Like I know tons of people that were like reading, you know, they're basically ready for college by the time they were in high school. And so AI can help really push us forward. And it's good because this means that there's a lot of kids that are left behind, that if we were able to basically, you know, scale this up where all they have to do is download their teacher, they can do it at home, you know, and get coached up to a point where it's more normal to their learning cycle.
So I'm not sure if anybody saw, but also OpenAI has a whole store with applications. Does anyone know if they are charging for these applications and how they're doing that?
You mean the GPTs, the custom GPTs?
Right. So are they taking like a 30% cut sort of? Is this the new Apple store type of a thing?
It was supposed to be. It kind of flopped. They announced it like 9 months ago. No one really uses it, but they're not monetizing it heavily yet.
They're going to use it. This is going to be extremely useful.
I think so as well.
I just gotta express a counterpoint here, because I think like we've got I don't know what you want to call it, a confirmation bias or whatever you want to call it, a positivity bias. Like we're seeing all of the possible potential benefits in this thing, but I don't think that that's what it's being created for. I don't think this is going to be a net positive. I'm writing, you know, we're talking in the chat. It is over for teachers. Like they are already not valued in our society. Why you think that an AI that could effectively replace them is going to be given to them as a tool? They're gone. They're over.
No, but Carlos, there's no way a teacher that has the responsibilities of making sure kids are safe in school and governing them for 8 hours.
There's other responsibilities
by
there.
an AI.
Hold on, but take this to its extreme. You've got a teacher. They've got a teacher that's like the smartest person in every subject on the planet. The idea of actually even needing to be in groups is unnecessary.
I think what Chris said, actually, I disagree. I think teachers are going to be very valuable.
I just want to finish this point. No, I don't think so. This is absolutely replacing teachers, because what you're going to have is within 10 generations, you can have people more comfortable learning from AIs than an actual teacher. The teacher's not going to have the answer. The teacher's going to be there prompting the AI.
But would you drop your daughter to 5th grade to an empty classroom with a computer? Like, you're going to want a teacher to be there, right? Like,
No. And again, keep this
Well, it's a Tesla bot technically.
right now.
like someone's going to have to take care of your daughter when you're at work and your daughter's at school, right? That's the teacher.
That's not the point I'm trying to make. I just want to say this point. These teachers are already not valued. Our education system is already not valued and not correctly funded. So the fact that AI can teach these kids better than a teacher, it's going to help the ones that are the go-getters, the self-starters. They're going to drastically improve. But a lot of kids are going to be left behind.
Wait, Carlos. There's one.
My final point is, I think what's going to ultimately happen as these AIs get really good is we're going to outsource some of like our education system to the corporations that run these AIs. And eventually, my concern is, in the same way that Tesla plans to force the adoption of FSD by proving to the regulators that it's safer than a human driving by themselves, eventually they could prove the teaching through AI is better, is fundamentally better. It's a more efficient use of our resources, and the results are better. Therefore, outlaw human teachers. This is where I think we're going to go. Everything is going to be to the point where when you can prove that the AI is fundamentally better, whether it's a CapEx thing or a safety thing, the humans are gone from the loop, and then go from there. That's what I'm thinking here.
Yeah, go ahead, Vitaly.
I wanted to respond about one thing. So right now, the problem with teachers is that they have to take care of 30 kids, and it's hard for them to section them off to learn at their own pace, what Chris was talking about earlier. Something like this tool integrated into the classroom can help kids master skills while the teacher moves on to different concepts with all across the board. So maybe your dystopian future happens in 30 years, who knows? But in the next 10,
I think on time frames before, buddy.
Listen, then
it's like
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think Tesla bot and FSD is quite there yet. But hold on. So I think 30 years from now, dystopian future possible. Who knows? But within the next 10, I think something like this will just help teachers. And then eventually, you're right. Who knows when that happens that we won't need them. But I think for a long time, we're going to have to actually help them and help classrooms, because right now they're overwhelmed and overworked.
But the difference is, real quick, the difference is the AIs that are replacing these teachers are not being created by the education system. If this was being created by the education system, I'd say, yes, they're trying to create tools for the teachers, for the system to be functionally better. It's not what it's being created.
Dude, but the education system sucks.
It's hard. You want the board of ed to be
created. Yeah, my mom used to work at one of these consultant companies. Do they suck?
I'm not advocating that they should, but what I'm saying is they're not the ones doing this. So corporations coming from the outside, right, training their models and have better teachers than every school. And it's the same thing. It's the same argument. Why would you hire a factory worker when you can get a bot to move those things from here to there, cheaper, better, that can work 23 hours a day? Why would you hire a teacher if you could have, say, one teacher that manages an AI, or have everybody having their own AI, and then you come together for specific group activities? This is going to fundamentally change the way that the education system works, the way that kids interact with kids, the way kids learn. If that AI could be available to you at home now. See, normally I would go home and I wouldn't see my teacher. I have to figure it out on my own. Now that teacher's available to you at home 24 hours a day. Could you not argue that the standards are going to be a lot higher because of the access of tools? That one kid that really uses these tools to the max, is he not going to throw the curve completely off?
Isn't that good though?
There's always a kid who throws the curve off. I mean, that's just.
But now take that to the next level when you got kids, guys, girls getting together with AI, getting incredibly smart,
getting together.
You know what I'm saying? And now
why is this a bad thing? I don't see why. Outside of the replacing the teacher part.
Hold on. Before we knew physics 100 years ago, I mean, there was physics, but before we understood the way that the planets work in the solar system hundreds of years ago, there was a certain level that you can reach of intelligence, right? And there was the smartest kid in the class. And then 10 years after that, everybody knew that the sun was at the center of the solar system. We all got smarter together. So yes, there's always someone at the top and someone at the bottom. So with AI, yes, there'll still be someone at the top and someone at the bottom. I don't see why that part is a bad thing.
Higher, even higher, and lower, even lower. But again, keep in mind this: you've got certain benefits locally. Like, you guys fell in love with your teachers; you knew them, you knew who they were, and you had a shared experience because you lived there locally. That's the same AI in a classroom in New Jersey could be the same AI in a classroom in Maine.
I
irrespective.
think that actually creates more equality.
No, I think that's I think that's actually part of the problem is that we expect things to work in Maine the way that they work in Texas. That's not the way it should be. And then you've got
2 + 2 is 4 everywhere, dude.
And you got the other issue is that
Maine don't know that, buddy.
Okay, all right. So there's
wait, real quick. The last issue is that you've got say, teachers in their individual states that bring their own, like they are human beings. They bring their own level of empathy and their own shared experience to the experience of teaching. And now you've basically going to create a standard level, right, of teacher across all city states, and that's being programmed by a company. That to me is incredibly dangerous.
Well, I don't know. Hold on,
Chris.
hold on.
Look at Chris, dude. He's been waiting for 20 minutes. Go ahead, Chris.
So the first thing I would just say, you have to take teaching into two different things. There's teaching theory, teaching concepts, and then teaching how to give the kids an opportunity to think outside of the box. If you put all the kids in a box saying, 2 + 2, and that's the only thing that's ever going to be taught to you, and that you can never go deviate from that, there's a problem. Because then you'll have the education systems of India and China, where you have tons of kids who can recite the multiplication tables to there is no end. The smartest kids on the planet in theory, but where is the Google of India? Where is all these other things that these other kids in America had to develop? Some people said in the chat, American kids are lazy. I take a stand against that. I think kids in America,
Midwest is a commie. I'll say it here.
I think I'll say right now, kids in America, my life experiences have given me the ability to be creative in different ways that let me see the world in different ways and not just in a rigid box. And I was actually in India in school from 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. Okay. I had a tutor because I went from America, the American education system, to India, and I had to do a couple of years in India, and then I came back. Those kids in India were freaking geniuses in terms of reciting the shit that they were taught.
Recall and retention.
Right.
Yeah.
Never the teachers would allow them to think outside of the box. And that is the core problem that you have. So I think that's changing in India, especially where you're getting kids to have the ability to be a little bit more go outside of what their norm is. And I mean, and this is one of the things that's actually a big topic in Indian what is they call Indian education system, where you also have these companies, these IITs, which produce some of the most brilliant engineers, but they can never stay in India and develop things. Why? Because the rigidity of the system prevents them from real innovation. US, for all the bad shit that we're saying, oh, the education in America is terrible, yet we produce the smartest people on the planet who provide the most alpha on the planet. How does that happen?
Well, because once we allow the cream to rise to the top and we reward them. Okay. That's what happens. But Carlos is right in terms of the lower half they're just totally sort of meant to be our slaves. And that's the service society.
Don't use the slave word.
Sorry.
They're meant to be.
That's the service. That's
because you need.
Let me finish, buddy. Let me finish, buddy. That's the service society. That's the service society that's created on purpose. So that is happening with our educational system. That is true. We do not need 100% to be engineers at Google. We don't need that. We need 1 out of 100 to be engineers at Google, or 1 out of 1,000 or 10,000. So those are the facts. There is a bottom half that is totally ignored, and we do have to concern ourselves with them.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And usually the way they do it is you take all the kids, you put them in a public school system that's terrible, and they turn into the next generation of 9-to-5 workers or working at Waffle House or to basically serve. And then you have all these other kids who have the privilege of going to these really good schools in certain areas, and they get all the problem, and I hate to say this, the problem with that model is that it leaves a lot of really smart and talented people in that pool where they're stuck in a cycle of poverty. Right? Because they don't know any better and they have to deal. I'll give you an example. My brother, smart guy, he had to go to school in New York City. I forgot which school it was. It's like William E. Grady or some shit like that. And let me tell you, his entire education system was, how do I not get beat up in school? That was it. That's all he really learned for the 4 years that he went there. Smart guy, really brilliant. Right now, works his ass off. But I think that he was denied a good education. And I think at some point, That's the thing that a lot of people are looking at right now when it comes to certain things like, hey, how do we take people that are actually smart and bring them up a level? But so far, especially in California, we're fucking regressing, saying, oh, because all these kids, like, they're merit based, that means that there's inherently something racist about the system. So let's just take all of them back a step. You know what I mean?
Well,
That's what we're getting into. Instead of rewarding excellence, we're thinking that excellence means there's a problem and that we have to take society back a notch.
I didn't know you live in California.
No, I'm just saying. I'm in New York City. It's happening in New York City right now. They want to get rid of the specialized, like the specialized high schools that we had. VITALY.
I did hear
Brooklyn,
that. Yeah.
Brooklyn Tech, Bronx Science, Stuyvesant, where you had all these kids that were really smart. They would go to those schools, but it turned out there's too many Asians and too many white people there. And so now they're like, no, that's racist. So we have to stop that. And now we're going to go for equality of outcome as opposed to, letting merit do its job.
Yeah. In fact, I'm married to an Asian woman, of course, and her family, the kid got into a great school, but he didn't even apply to the top schools because he went to Stuyvesant. There was no point unless you're like the literally the top of the top at Stuyvesant. If you're the 2%, worthless. You can't apply to like MIT and Harvard. You're not going to get in. It's worthless applying. He would have been better to go to a lower high school, been top of that high school, and then apply to those schools.
Right. I think what I'm responding, like a lot of what you guys are saying, I agree with. But what I'm saying is like, that's not what it's being created for. Like with Chris, when you push back on Optimus, you're like, we can't put AI in control of, say, our of weapons. We can't give AI control of these decisions. We would basically, in a sense, outsource some of our education system from human beings to machines. That's the fundamental problem that I have, because you've got a small number of people that are going to program those machines, and they're flawed. They've got biases. We've seen hints of this in these AIs. Now take that and blast that out to every classroom, to a bunch of young and impressionable children. Whether or not it's a tool or it actually replaces the teacher, we're removing the human from it.
Yeah, but Carlos, that's what you have to remember.
Fundamental problem.
That's the reason why you still need teachers. The teachers, and you combine the AI with the teachers.
The teachers are not programming it. The teachers are not programming the AI.
No, they're doing the course. They're doing the course outline.
Yeah.
They're still responsible for the whole thing. It's not like the AI is just saying, hey, do you want to learn about triangles today? All right, let's pick up triangles. No.
So think about it. Think about it this way, Carlos. If you're, let's say, a high school chemistry teacher, right? Yes, the AI is going to teach you what a hydrogen molecule is, right? But the teacher is the one that's going to fill up that giant thing of hydrogen and blow it up and make it like, oh, look, this is what a reaction is.
You're right. You're right. But I'm not talking about those sorts of subjects makes complete sense, where there's like a definitive answer and one or two or three ways to get to the answer. But when you get into the more philosophical things, when you get more into English, that's when it's going to get tricky. Or you start getting into politics, history, current events. That's where you've got to see how these models, because they're showing you math and arithmetic because there's a set answer. But what happens when the answers get much more complex and they're open to things like where you live, how you grew up, whether you're conservative or you're Republican, your values? The AI is not going to be that way. And that's what I want to see how the AI handles that, because those things are a part of the reason why you're in school is for the cultural aspect and to be exposed to a bunch of different people and ideas. And those top performers that you're talking about are the ones that can come out of those schools with a massive network of people with substantial critical thinking skills. I don't know.
I think critical thinking is what I think. I'm an advocate for critical thinking.
The number one
teachers. Yeah, I think teachers need to teach common sense and critical thinking. And I think sometimes even the teachers don't know what that is anymore. I've seen that where now teachers are becoming a little bit too politically biased, and that they carry that bias into the classroom and try to propagate that.
Well, I don't know about that, but they do have to teach to a standardized test, which is a problem.
What is it?
So if you're teaching to standardized test, I do find that as an issue, that the whole semester is spent on just passing an exam as opposed to actually learning concepts which are more important for life. So that's unfortunate for all the systems here in the United States,
But you have to ask yourself, the conversations had about that, and that is on purpose. That's by design. It's very easy to design curriculums around critical thinking, but it's clear that that's just not what our education system wants to produce. It wants to produce a bunch of 9-to-5 zombies that retire at 65 and and pay their taxes and watch Netflix.
My thing is, there are people that are the haves. They live in good school districts with great teachers, with great schools. Their kids are going to do fine. And those are usually public institutions. They're going to do just fine. Then you have the public students that go to all these really broken down schools, right? Who are never going to do anything with their life other than just live to serve. The people who can afford it in that neighborhood, because if you look at New York City is so segregated. All the white kids and Asian kids that don't make it into the public school system, or that who actually parents have money. New York City has some of the best private schools on the planet, but they'll cost you an arm and a leg. So the rich will stay rich. The poor will stay poor. And then the system won't get broken.
And that's why we need GameStop.
AI. That's why we need AI.
That's
to
why we need
basically help break
Well,
that cycle.
turning it back to stocks, right? Google fell on this news, right?
It recovered a little bit, but yeah.
Okay, but Google's fall.
How much did it fall? I didn't see.
It went to like 164, now to 160.
A few percentage. And then there's this idea of this integration with Apple. It just seems like there's still a lot of value to come into the market when the market sees how these AI plays are going to be utilized. I think we got the multiple on the hardware side. Now we need to see the software earnings execution side.
Just FYI, no one cared. Google is down 0.07% at
It was down 3% in the morning.
Well, nobody cares at the end of the day. Let me tell you.
It's tiny.
It's back. It's back.
Okay, what do we think for 3 letters that are happening on Wednesday that I'm not going to sleep through this time? CPI. Do we think it comes in lower than 3.5? Because if it comes in hotter, dude, this is going to be a tough couple weeks.
I mean,
it better come in below 3.5, dude. Like, could you imagine CPI comes in like 3.6 and then GameStop keeps going and GameStop is the fucking hedge against inflation, dude? Like, could you imagine that shit?
It's no longer Bitcoin. It's now GameStop.
Right.
Like, that would be insane.
Yeah, GameStop would be like clay shooting. They're throwing it out. Everyone goes to it, and then he's fucking put you out of your sense. Okay, burnout stick at 3.2. I think that for me, I'm more curious about unemployment. That to me is going to be the thing that
it's ticking up. It's ticking up.
Cause it.
Well, before we end, we had 479 people there, but 53 likes. Come on.
Come on, shit! I gotta like it.
I mean, just hit the like, share it with your friends, your moms and dads.
So the problem is going to be that inflation is not getting worse, but it's not getting better.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you deal with that? So technically speaking, you're not getting the huge, like, oh my God, like, yay, we're going to get rate cuts because inflation is going down. But you're also not getting the, oh my God, inflation's reaccelerating. We need to go hotter with the, like, I'm in the camp right now that we're doing fine in terms of economy. We're slowing down a little bit, right? But we're not like, oh my God, we have problems right now. So I think we should just chill.
Yeah, it feels like you're on a date with like a hot chick, but her parents are there, and so you're just kind of like,
I don't know. That's a little creative. Okay. See, Carlos, who taught you how to say it?
Carlos, who's teaching you these AI jokes? Bro?
Yeah, who taught you that joke?
That wasn't a joke. That was the actual experience.
Oh my gosh!
All righty.
Yeah, you got to date hot chicks, right? So
yeah, go ahead, guys. Sorry.
I was just gonna say we'll see. I mean, we'll get the Wednesday numbers and then Thursday we'll discuss, but hopefully it comes in lower because J Powell needs this shit to come in lower for him to have any chance to lower rates by November or September.
How can inflation be 3.5 and everything's double?
I keep saying this, but the U.S. needs to lower rates because the reason why rates are not. This is so stupid, but the reason, if you look at the Europeans, right? The Europeans, their CPI is coming down. I think Europe right now as a whole is 2.4%. So they're close to their target. The US has stalled out. Why? Because the Europeans have a lot more. Well, number one, they have a slower growing economy. So that helps. But number two, they don't have the 30-year fucking mortgage.
Wait, really?
That is what's killing us. Yeah, most people have like adjustable rate mortgages over in Europe.
Wait, what does that mean in Europe?
Yeah.
Well, what's the term?
Right now
what's the term?
What do you mean?
What is their term there? 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? What is their
term?
Depends
on the locality that you're in. They have a lot more adjustable rate mortgages, and they also are rental based. Like if you go to Germany, there's a lot more people that rent than own. So the thing is, like their shelter is fluctuating back and forth. So it makes things different. Now, the key difference is in the US, we have a 30-year mortgage with people sitting on 2-3% more loans. Guess what? They're not moving inventory. If they're not moving inventory, that creates a supply and demand gap in shelter. And if that shelter demand gap does not correct eventually, then you're not going to see CPI come down. The question is, when does it happen? Because right now, housing is unaffordable for most Americans, right? In terms of if you want to buy. Rent is coming down, but not like negative. It's just basically flatlined. So you need a housing correction. You really do. That's the only way you're going to get CPI back down to below 2%. And what I mean by housing correction is not, oh, everything needs to fall down by 20%. It just means that the prices of homes and rent needs to kind of stabilize and start retreating a little bit lower so that Americans can catch up, or incomes can catch up with affording to freaking live in a place.
Well, without more inventory, that ain't going to happen. So yeah.
Right. And that's the thing. We need to add a lot more inventory, not only in terms of building more inventory, but you also need to incentivize people to sell the existing inventory. And you're not going to do that if they're sitting on 3% mortgages, right? So the key right now, how do you do that? Well, a lot of localities are, what is it? Sorry, guys, it's going to be 3.9, but still vote for me, please.
President Biden, he's in the chat, guys. You should have given us a super chat.
Alex Karp was in there at 1.2.
Right. He's only got $2. Oh,
dude, I met Karp. He's buddies with me now. He watches the pod. He's there. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Vlad watches the pod, because during the fucking interview, he's like, I noticed in your streams, you're not using Robinhood, you're using Weevil. I started dying.
Oh, you were like, fuck.
That was hilarious.
I will say this. This is
you should say your tools aren't good enough.
He said it himself. He was like, I know our shit sucks. And I was like, yeah, it kind of sucks.
Okay.
This is setting Trump up for a freaking layup, dude. I don't know if you guys know. It's like, if you do the math and like when, okay, November comes, let's say Trump wins, January comes, right? Trump is going to get all the benefits of technically of a rate cutting cycle. I mean, he's going to look like the greatest president in the history of presidents, if you think about it.
I think it's the opposite, that it's like, well, if we're going to lose, let's just spend all the money, print everything we can, right? Run the credit card, do everything, leave on a high, and leave the mess for the next guy.
I mean, I don't know, bro. Maybe that's what the Biden campaign is going to try. I mean, administration is going to do.
Okay, just if you wanted to do that, like let's say you wanted to do that, isn't this how you would do it? Like, would you change anything that's happening right now?
I mean, the guy is just okay. If you look at
there it is. He's got my vote.
Yo, this could be some AI bot. I don't know why it's so entertaining, but it's so funny.
Yeah. It's kind of cool to see with it. And he's all capsing.
Listen, the channel's growing. We got presidents. We got Vlad.
There you go. There you go.
Karp knows about this shit.
We need shelter and oil to come down. We need 3.4. Keep this party going.
Oil is fine. Oil is fine. Right now at $80.
No, but for April, it wasn't. You think April? Because this is April.
Yeah, it was April. Like they were let me see oil prices. They stuck around 80s the entire time. Maybe there were like a few days where it spiked here and there, but it was actually pretty well. Towards the end of March, it spiked to 85 and then went down to 78 right now in WTI with Brent around 83. So it's fine. I mean, you're not seeing the $100 barrels, like
we had 90 when the Israel-Iran thing was happening for a couple of days. That I think was
right.
Yeah.
Right. No, that's something that's a lot more like meaningful in terms of getting inflation. Right now, shelter is the main thing. I think shelter disinflation is what's absolutely necessary, and services disinflation, because the more inflation stays up like this, the more employees are going to be able to demand higher wages going forward, because like the idea of inflation being entrenched at 3.5% is becoming a reality. We need to get that out of the way,
Yeah. All right. Cool stuff. I guess we'll see what happens tomorrow and how crazy it gets, and then we'll get CPI Wednesday and keep going from there.
All right.
All right. Thanks everybody for joining. We'll see you Thursday night, and have a good night. Thanks everybody.
Later.
Bye-bye.